It's not very good.
I would definitely put it in the top 10.
So good.
It's kind of a mess.
A great work of cinema.
Train wreck.
Beyond a slasher, beyond a jump scare.
More thought has gone into the story.
Respecting the source material.
Extremely gory, extremely violent.
The lighting, the sets, the costuming.
Extremely scary.
Well staged, well shot, well acted.
I saw the comedy for what it is.
Relentless.
It was just really, really good.
This is pretty cool.
Another reason why I think it's
so good.
We do have a system, and it works.
Hello, 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 out there in YouTube and podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction films and those key elements that lift and or separate them from the average genre fare. Are you new to us? Well, goodness gracious, we've been doing this a long time. David and I go way back. We've been talking movies since our childhood, basically, and specific genres. His is more sci-fi, mine's more horror. And we decided one day, wow, why don't we do a podcast? Well, this has been like 6 years ago, I think, maybe more. And we've decided we would hit them all if we could. We cover 100 years. We usually pick one or two from every decade, sometimes more, sometimes less. Sometimes we concentrate a little more on decades. And that's what we do. We find the key similarities and like influences that either influence future movies from that date or was inspired by movies preceding that particular date. Today, we're actually in the 70s, and it's a little bit of a landmark episode. But before we get there, I will pass it to you, David. What's been going on in your world?
What's been going on? Well, as I've said this entire season, I've gotten back into audiobooks and reading and doing stuff like that again. And I mentioned to you that I'd started 11/22/63. So I finally finished it.
That's a good one.
Stephen King novel. The last Stephen King I read was the collection of the short stories, one of his newer or later short story collections. And this one had always been on my list, but I was always like, maybe I'll get around to it, whatever. I'd always heard good things about it. I think you even recommended that that you really liked it too, one of his better ones. For those of you who haven't read it, go read it and or listen to it if you audio book it. The reader is very good, the one that I had for the audio book. But basically it's a time travel story, so it falls right into my genre, bailiwick. And it's JFK, which is another one of those great pivotal turning points in history. I'm wondering if he even got the idea from that old thing that we used to do all the time was, if you could go back in time, would you go back and kill Hitler? But when he was a boy. But what really works with this story is it's not a time travel science fiction story. It's not a multiverse story so much as it's a love story.
It's a romance.
And it's great characters, such good, even the Vic, whoever, the loan shark that beats up the protagonist at one point, he's got a great character and he's got great backstory to him. And he's that typical 50s bookie thug that has guys with him break his kneecaps, but just nice characters. I really liked his plotting. I got scared near the end. I was afraid, how's he going to end this? I don't want it to end awful or bad, or I also don't want it to end stupid or silly, but it was very interesting the way he ended. I really liked the ending, and I liked the little twist. And I actually did some research on it and found out that he had an original or an alternate ending that he actually had that he ended up pulling because his son suggested a better ending idea, and he used his son's idea. And at the end of the audiobook, he does an afterword, and he talks about that. He talks about, and I've got to thank Joe because Joe helped me with the last idea. And so it's really interesting. I didn't watch the series yet, but you had recommended it. So I haven't watched it yet to see.
It's got James Franco in it.
Yeah, to see how faithful or true or whatever it would be. I can say I don't picture Franco in that role when I was listening or reading it, but it'll be interesting to see what they do, what they cut, how they change. Of course, I love that modulation of changing mediums. And it was, I had a question. So the green card man who there's two of them in the book. The first one he meets is actually he calls him the yellow card man because he has a yellow card. Then it turns black, and then he dies, and then later on. But anyway, they're like the valets of the time bubble. They're like the people that you have to pay once you cross over. You have to give him a 50-cent piece. Are they in Dark Tower? I don't remember them in Dark Tower, but I'm wondering if they're in anything else.
I haven't read that book in almost 15 years, but I want to say that they reminded me of the low men in yellow coats.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Dark Tower. Yeah. But the low men in yellow coats, I think, were far more sinister than.
Yeah, they seem to be like a covert op guys. These guys are like
a
they're
mafia.
there to try to talk. These guys seem like they're there to try to talk you back across because you don't realize that. Okay, science fiction wise, one of the cool concepts he had that I haven't seen in any other novel I've read is that each time you go back, time totally resets.
Mm-hmm.
That was really interesting.
So he has to live through what he has already been through.
Right. So if you go through and you like say save somebody's life and then you come back through and you've changed history by saving that person's life, if you go back in again, that person's still dead because that timeline resets to that timeline. And so you have to go save them again if you want that same outcome to happen.
Right. You have to go further back.
Well, no, because that's the other thing too. You always come back to the same moment. You can't choose where you come back.
Oh, and that's right. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really cool. His time conceits I really liked. And the fact that no matter how long you spent there, I mean, literally years you could spend in the past. When you came back, it's only been 2 minutes.
It's been like a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was
so
cool
I loved
too.
his time travel theorems in it. I like the fact that he didn't create a lot of paradoxes or even worry about that or create a lot of strange time gap loop stuff. I like the fact that he focused on the characters more than anything. And, oh, well, we found this place that lets you go back in time. Okay, we just accept that. Let's keep going. So it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to watching the series now and seeing what that was like. That's what I did in my genre week.
Redo it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you should reread it.
Well, what did I do in my genre week? I went to a film that had been on my list for a little while because we covered it a little. It's been a few years, actually, I think, on A Coming to Get You. And it's a film called New Life. It has two different posters behind me. This one, something about the trailer intrigued me. It looked like it might have a hidden subplot that would appeal to me. Hint, the what do you call that helmet thing she's wearing in the one poster?
Yeah.
I was like, that looks very either space or apocalyptic.
Yeah, decon suit. It looks like a contamination.
That's exactly what it is. It's a decon suit. This movie was written by John Rosman, Rosman. He's done very little. Only one other film called The Silence Game, and I've never heard of that. The cast, though, is great. It features Sonya Walger, who I'm not sure if you remember, played Penny on Lost.
Okay.
It also features Haley Aaron, who is a soap opera actress that was on General Hospital and Young and the Restless. And then it also has a guy in it named Tony Amendola, who is a very recognizable character actor. You would recognize him if you saw him.
Okay.
The synopsis is Jess is a woman on the run, desperate to cross the Canadian border to escape her past. On her tail is Elsa, a resourceful agent whose recent life-altering diagnosis leaves her one step behind. As their chase narrows to the mountains of the Pacific Northwest, holes in Elsa's investigation start to fill with fresh bodies. The poster and the trailer kind of give it away because there's a hazmat suit. And, well, I'm not going to say anything else, but this movie gets 94% on Rotten Tomatoes with 76 reviews. I'm fine with that. It is not only, I'm not only fine with it because of its somewhat apocalyptic beginnings, but because it's just a really good character study between two women on the run. One is running, one is pursuing, very fugitive, if you will. Only instead of Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, you've got these two women. So, yeah, I liked it. I recommend it. And I think I may have added it to the list.
All right.
So yeah, that's what I did in my genre week. If you need a little bit of a segue, I don't know if I handed you one or not.
Well, you delved more into a pseudo science fiction-y kind of concept than I did. I had time travel in mind, but mine's mostly a romance. But we are doing science fiction this week, so I'll just use that as a bridge to.
Oh, and it is also a listener request episode. That's what I was hinting at earlier.
Who listener requested?
Some guy named Joe Powell, and the name is really familiar to me.
Oh, Powell. Yeah, no, it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I know he's out there.
Joe a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I see him all the time. He's great. Co-write with him on several things. So
yeah.
But so Joe, I'll be very interested to hear what you say after you listen to this episode of what Tim and I think about this topic. So today we are traveling all the way back to 1974 to a little gem of a film called The Terminal Man. It was based on a novel by Michael Crichton. The screenplay was written by the director, Mike Hodges. And just a little bit of background on him, Mike Hodges was actually known for a British Secret Service series called Get Carter. And he was hugely popular for that. And that's why he got this job, why he wanted to do this film, why he had the clout to do it. It was a Crichton thing. And Drama Strain had already come out, so it was a popular film. And Michael Crichton was really heating up the bestseller list and the movies.
And this was a popular novel, too. I
Yes.
did some research on the book.
Yeah. So, but it came out in 74. And just a brief synopsis. This is basically one of the first instances of a machine human hybrid. They have a gentleman who has obviously got some mental issues, almost like a similar form of epilepsy. And it causes him to have these seizures. And during these seizures, he basically turns psychotic. He has been arrested for killing people. It was his family, if I remember correctly. And he is offered the opportunity to take this procedure. And this procedure is they're going to literally implant a microcomputer into his head with terminals, hence Terminal Man, that go to different areas, two different areas of his brain. That computer will then stimulate those areas and stop his seizures is the goal of it. Naturally, in lovely Michael Crichton fear technology style, that doesn't work at all. As a matter of fact, the computer starts increasing the seizures and the times of the seizures exponentially, so much so that we, of course, have a tragic ending to
Well, he becomes addicted to them, and he's the one that's making them happen.
Well, his brain is.
Yeah.
His brain loves the way they compensate for the seizures is instead of this awful smell and olfactory thing that he gets before the seizures that turn him psychotic, the computer reroutes that to his dopamine pleasure centers and makes it be more pleasurable. But then his brain says, wow, I want more pleasure, just like we do with our dopamine.
Yeah, you should have more seizures.
You should have more seizures so we have more dopamine.
Yeah.
Had you seen this movie before?
I had not. I knew of the book, but I never read it. And so I did a little bit of research on it today, this morning. And I was, you know how I'm always recording stuff off Turner Classic Movies. Last
Hmm?
summer, this was on, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? There's a movie of this?" And I recorded it, and then you picked it to be on this season's list, and I just left it in my little queue, waiting for me to watch it. I was like,
Yep.
"George Siegel's in this? What the fuck? I'd have never heard of this movie." I knew of the novel. I just didn't know the movie existed.
Okay. Had you read the novel, or are you just familiar with the
I had
okay.
not read the novel. And honestly, when I look at that poster, and this is, I'm jumping a little ahead of myself because I did not like this movie at all. But that poster screams The Running Man to me. And I was waiting for like action adventure, and it is the exact opposite.
The exact opposite. Yes,
This
the
is the
poster
slowest movie
is
I've seen in a long time.
the poster is terrible. The poster is like Running Man or even Logan's Run. It has that conceit to it of this poor guy is escaping.
Yes,
And
exactly.
yeah. And okay, so you did not like, and one of your did not likes you obviously mentioned was the pace.
Well,
And
I can give you a good example.
mhm,
This movie centers on a surgery that this guy has.
mhm.
That surgery's not over till we're halfway through this movie. It takes that long to build up to it and get him on the table, and all of a sudden we're halfway through this movie. It was so long. You know, I love slow burn movies. We've talked about this. This is
Yes.
beyond slow burn. This is boring.
Yeah, and I struggle with this movie because this falls into that sub genre I have of I really want to like it.
Hmm.
It should be good because of
The
the
cast
crowd,
is good.
and maybe it even tips over into this might be rife for a remake
Hmm.
with modern technology, especially with AI, AI being the subject that it is now and everything else. It might be interesting to see to see this as a remake, but. And I know that Michael Crichton came from medicine, and that
Hmm.
was his background before he became a novelist and everything else. And maybe I haven't read the novel, but maybe the novel is 17 chapters of the surgery. I don't know, but the surgery is like 28 minutes long, literally, in this film. And it could have been done in four. There is no, I kept thinking there would be some suspense in the surgery, but there's not. There is the big moment in it when they are
Blood vessel.
inserting a probe and the probe goes suddenly starts getting alerts and his blood pressure spikes and everything else and they have to ask the computer where to insert the probe somewhere differently and it gives them a different location and they do it. And I was going okay, and that's it. That's the excitement of the surgery. That was our glitch for the mission.
It
What
was
the
a
hell's
blood
going on?
vessel, wasn't it? They almost
Yeah,
hit a
it was
blood vessel, so they
almost
had to back
oh
up and go
ooh
back in a
yeah.
different way.
But if you ever want to know how to perform this form of brain surgery, you can find out in this movie. It's a tutorial because it takes so freaking even down to adjust it 9 more degrees and a close up of the machine. He's going okay. Close up. It's like, okay, I got it. I got it. And I kept thinking, oh, is it because of our current environment and we are so used to Michael Bay and everything being fast and edited and done? And it's not. We have seen movies in this same era, this same thing that are paced well and done well and have suspense and build character. We don't even get to know this guy, the protagonist character, because we don't see him literally really until after the surgery.
Right, which is 45 minutes in. Yeah, and the
Yeah,
movie's only at 90 minutes, basically.
yeah. So we don't get character arc in it. We only have one really. I kept after it was over. I went back and rewatched like certain scenes, like the surgery, parts of the surgery, parts of this, going. Okay, what are they then what can I say about what are they trying to say about that? Are they trying to say that the doctors are so intent on their own careers that they really don't care what they did to this guy, which is true. It even starts with them all sitting around this luxury dinner somewhere, looking at pictures
Hmm.
of his crimes and everything, going, "Well, do you think it'll work? Yeah, we've only done it on monkeys, but yeah, sure, it should work. Oh, this will be great. This will be
But people
revolutionary."
don't like operating on prisoners. Blah blah blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. We don't see his either a manipulation, panic, whatever, but we see the doctor's reaction to it all about, oh, we're really screwed. When can we get the police involved? Don't get them involved yet. Let's see if we can track him. Let's see if we can find. You get all of there, and then you even get this one weird scene where the guy is trying to. I think he's talking to one of his assistants or whatever in the medical research center, and he's trying to figure out how to spin it, how to say, well, there's always complications with every surgery. There's always issues that could happen. Da 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 da. Meanwhile, the other two computer techs are basically sitting back like this, going, he's going to pop up again in about 15 minutes. You're just going, what the?
Yeah. I don't understand. It's like, were they trying to be more science fiction-y and say, I was trying to think of what movies came out around this time other than Westworld and the Andromeda Strain, which were also both Crichton. And I was
Well,
thinking the biggie would have been 2001, 6 years earlier, but
Andromeda Strain. Andromeda Strain's all science, all
and
the way
it's
through.
great.
And it's great. And it
Yeah.
also, a lot of movies in the 60s and 70s have ticking clocks, like this one does, but there is no suspense at all to that clock. We
No,
do
they
not
should have
care.
made the intro and the surgery take place in less than 15 minutes, and the rest of the movie should have been his chase. And we could have had flashbacks to see how to get character development, but you could have had more action and
Yeah, it might have
less
been interesting
talk.
even to take her and make her like try to help him. She realized the doctors are all self-centered and they only care about themselves. She actually helps him for a little bit, and
The
maybe then
psychiatrist?
finds, yeah,
Okay.
the only person that had compassion for him
Dr.
was the
Ross.
psychiatrist. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I could totally understand that and make it
Hmm.
like this. He's trying to, well, the big key that I have that is this movie wanted to be was Flowers for Algernon.
Oh, I
You
don't know
know,
that I have any keys now that I think about it. But
this person with a condition,
disability.
a disability, and he undergoes a surgery to get over it, but the surgery goes wrong. That's the premise that this is. But yeah, to your point, it would have been better to focus on him and his adventures post surgery rather than the bulk of the movie being the lead up and the surgery, and then the rest of it being this very truncated, weird, disjointed chase of waiting for him to go to his next victim.
Hmm.
Even though the scene with her in her house is one of my favorite scenes. I did like that scene where
The
she's in
one
the
with
shower.
Ross,
Yeah.
not Black, because there's the Jill Clayburgh character too,
Well,
and
both of those
that's in a
scenes I
house. Yeah.
actually liked, both of the murder and the attack scenes. Both of those
Yeah.
I
Well, if we get to scenes, I would have definitely said the Jill Clayburgh murder
right.
because it's pretty stark. But before
Even
we
though
go
again her
there,
character is a cipher, right? We don't really know anything about her either.
for some reason, I had it in my head that she was his ex-wife.
Mhm.
But
I thought she was his girlfriend, his
okay.
current girlfriend, but she's not. She's a stripper that he saw occasionally.
Yeah, I thought, why would I have in my head that she's his ex-wife? Because I think he killed his ex-wife or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Before we move into scenes, though, the two big problems with this movie are Michael Crichton and Mike Hodges. Mike Hodges also directed Flash Gordon. Ah! Um,
Yeah.
and
There
he
you
was
go.
the original director of Damien, Omen 2, but left because of creative differences. It makes me think, well, that might be a good thing because that movie's not bad. So that's the one where Damien's a teenager in military school. But
Okay.
I read that Crichton was fired from writing this screenplay because he deviated so much from his own novel.
Correct.
Maybe he was trying to fix it. I don't know. But if he fixed it, or whoever is responsible for writing the first 45 minutes of this movie should be shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
because yeah, and it's one of them or both. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't work. And we know from our own experience with Michael Crichton that he's hit or miss. He can be really on it with something like Andromeda Strain or Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
but then he loses it a little bit with Westworld or Coma or Runaway, those
Oh, yeah,
type movies. So
definitely.
I don't know. I'm not going to get into his history. We know that, like you said, he was a medical student. He left for Hollywood and fame or what have you. We've talked about Michael Crichton a lot on this podcast on other
Yes.
shows. So
Yeah. Look him up.
that's yeah, that's the background I have. I also looked to see what he had done in what order. And he did the Andromeda Strain novel was first.
Hmm.
Then he did actually these are movies. He did the Andromeda Strain, then something called Dealing, which was based on a novel he wrote under the pseudonym Michael Douglas. The Carey Treatment, which was his adaptation of A Case of Need. He did a TV movie called Binary. I didn't know all this stuff. He
Huh.
did Extreme Close Up in 1973 before he ended up doing Westworld in 1973 and then eventually Terminal Man in 1974. So he had some experience, but that's why I want to say even Westworld has great moments. It makes me think this is Mike Hodges' fault more than
Oh, I
Crichton's.
Oh, I highly agree. Especially when it comes to editing and pacing. That's not Crichton's fault. Crichton wasn't even a director at that time. He
No,
hadn't
and
even,
they obviously didn't use his screenplay.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
I
the
think
movie
it
was a
is all
critical and
Hodges'
commercial failure. That's a fact. So,
will. And the critics were right
do you have
in
any
this
scenes
regard.
that are memorable at all?
Well, you have to say, if you're talking about being logical about this movie, you have to say the surgery scene is definitely a scene, whether it's your favorite or not. It did set some precedents, though, which I found in notes that it was, and this is directly from online. The film is prescient in many aspects of surgical technology that became commonplace in years and decades after its release, including the spacesuit operating helmets, the gowns that would be common in orthopedic joint replacement surgeries, intraoperative CT scans.
Hmm.
And I actually found that in research too. The CT, because you have the doctor in the viewing gallery has to explain everything
Hmm.
too to all the students, i.e., all the audience, saying, well, it'll take an x-ray slice of every section of the brain, and that way we'll be able to get a comprehensive look at the brain. And that's a CT scan, which was
It
not
is
happening in 74. So that was why. And,
interesting.
and,
When I was getting
and
my shots into my hip, that I saw it. I could see him putting the needle in,
right.
and so that he
Um,
doesn't hit something wrong, like a nerve. Yeah, yeah.
and then lastly, the electrode, like implanting, the whole concept of terminal man is actually now a treatment for epilepsy. This
Hmm.
procedure is actually a treatment now for epilepsy and has
Okay.
been successful.
He probably read
But
about it
they
in medical journals and decided to put it in a book
maybe, I
because it
mean,
was in advance. It wasn't like happening just yet. It was down the road or whatever. Yeah.
Crichton, like we've talked about when we did Jurassic and or Andromeda, Crichton is very good on taking a scientific concept that is here and imagining it going to this
Here.
level.
Yeah.
And then that's why, especially with Jurassic, Westworld, Andromeda, all
Well,
of
and
that.
they're already talking about cloning woolly mammoths,
Yeah. So,
which is basically Jurassic Park. Yeah.
yep.
So,
So, but I would say the surgery scene, I agree with you. I think the stripper attack, what I call the stripper attack or the black attack.
well, those two scenes, the one with Ross in her house and the one with Black in her house, are memorable because the pace is finally picked up. He's out of the hospital and it's getting more interesting.
Hmm.
So that's why I think those scenes stick out to us as well.
And I wrote down I guess an anti scene to me is the final set piece, which is him wandering through a mausoleum, then wandering through a graveyard and finding an empty grave and jumping in it as the funeral party is slowly processing to the gravesite, and it takes for freaking ever.
Yeah.
I'm going, we know what's going to, what the hell? Why is this
And
so
it makes no
slow?
sense. And it's added. It's not in the book at all. In the book, it goes back to the hospital. He's like in the
Well,
hospital
because
looking for the mainframe or something.
yeah, he wants to
Yeah.
destroy the computer that is sending him the signals.
Yes.
So you get this almost retribution thing in the novel, and it's not in the movie at all.
Right, and at least it gives it some symmetry or cohesiveness too, because he goes back to where it all started, and that doesn't happen in this at all. I'm like, why is he in a grave? And that's stupid. And there's a long scene where the guy is holding Ross back from going to the grave. Then this helicopter just flies over and shoots him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the end.
I will say I give it to the only thing I give to Hodges at all is casting, which you'll get to in a second, but is the opening shot and the closing credit shot. Because the opening shot is this extremely long, and he should have, it's like he was telegraphing it to us, startup of this helicopter. One shot, lockdown, take forever to start this helicopter and let it fly away, and then we get into the movie. In the credits, the helicopter comes back and lands, and you realize that that's the same helicopter, and that guy on the left is the sniper who just killed him. And I
Right.
thought,
And that's
oh,
his
okay.
unity. That's like,
So that's your
the
bookends.
symmetry he has. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's ridiculous.
It just took 6 months to get there in between.
And a character we've never met, nor do we care about.
Right. Yeah. Just, yeah. So,
Well, we can move on
Joe,
to cast.
what were you thinking telling us we had to do this? Oh, okay, never mind. Go ahead.
I'll move on to cast because the cast is the best part about this, even though they're kind of wasted. George Siegel is the lead. He plays Harry Benson, the guy that has the seizures. I'm used to him being in. Well, I guess the first thing he was in that was really major was a drama, and that was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which I
Yeah.
think he even got nominated for because that's a supporting role to the George and Martha characters that he played. He
Richard Burton.
was, what's that?
Richard Burton. He was in the Richard Burton movie.
Yeah, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor and Sandy Dennis, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he was also in The Owl and the Pussycat with Barbara Streisand. That's a screwball comedy. He was in The Goldbergs, which is what most people will remember him for. He played the grandfather patriarch, for lack of better words, on that show. And that was a comedy that ran for several years. He has 128 acting credits. George has been around. We lost him, I think, before The Goldbergs ended. I think he died while that show was still running. Joan Hackett plays Dr. Janet Ross. I did not know her at all, but I kept going, God, she looks familiar. Who is she? And then I was like, oh, she's Sarah Paulson's twin, man. She looks like Sarah Paulson, the actress that's popular right now.
I can give you that. Yep. Yep.
She is known mainly for a movie called Support Your Local Sheriff, which was a comedy. She died at 49 with ovarian cancer. She died really young.
Yeah.
And I just did not know who she was. I just thought she looked very familiar. But
And she was
speaking of,
television too. She was on a lawyer show. I can't remember the name right now, but she was on some legal show in the 60s.
was it American or British? Because she's British.
It was American. It was shoot. I can't remember it right now, but it was a legal Perry Mason-y kind of show that was, I think was actually inspired by Perry Mason that she was on
Oh,
for a
interesting.
while.
Well, she was a British theater actress that I guess came to America.
Good.
But speaking of familiar faces, there are two very familiar faces in here from a movie that we think very highly of. And that is first Richard Dysart, who plays Dr. John Ellis. That's him in the black and white picture behind me. I don't know why that picture's in black and white. And then also Donald Moffat. Yeah, plays Dr. Arthur McPherson. Both of these guys, what, less than 10 years later, 8 years later, were in The Thing, John Carpenter's iconic sci-fi horror movie of the early 80s.
Yeah, my first note in the watch notes is, okay, this is a really great table. You have Dysart, Moffat, and Sicking all at one table doing a scene together. That's killer.
Well, and I'm going to
this
get to
movie's going to
Sicking.
be great.
Well, Richard Dysart, we obviously know as Copper in The Thing, but he went on to become very popular on TV's LA Law and a mentor for a lot of the actors that were on LA Law, including Harry Hamlin and Susan Day. And then Donald Moffat, I've talked about him a lot because he's in the Armistead Maupin Tales of the City miniseries that I like so much. He plays Edgar Halcyon, but he also plays Gary in The Thing, the one that says, "Get me off this fucking couch."
Yep.
Tied to this fucking couch, does it? Anyway, two great, great actors there. Then we have Michael C. Gwynn, who I am not as familiar with. He played Dr. Robert Morris. I've got that he was in Cherry 2000 and Private Parts. But he played, the reason I got him in here is that, I don't know if you knew this, but he plays many of the voices in the movie Jaws, including like helicopter pilots and DJs on radios. Yeah, cool. I thought that was interesting. William Hanson plays Dr. Ezra Manon. He's the one that stands up in the little room where everyone's talking about what's going, where they roll George Siegel's character out and are talking about the procedure that they're going to do on his brain. He's the one that stands up and objects. He's bald and sinister looking.
Yep.
We saw him recently. Actually, he was the secretary Swenson in Failsafe.
You're right.
Jill Clayburgh plays Angela Black, the one I thought was an ex-wife, the one you say is a hooker. Jill is
stripper, not hooker. You don't know. It's just,
stripper. Sorry, I said hooker.
Stripper.
She was in Semi-Tough and Bridesmaids, which was a more recent movie before she passed. She was a very well-known 70s actress, I would say, more than anything, 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Norman Burton, who is the guy behind me there that's not Richard Dysart. I was looking at him, I was like, he looks like Steve, what's his face, from The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like an older version. Steve Carell, yeah. He looks like an older version of Steve Carell.
Could be, or a younger version of RFK Jr.
Do you know he is? He is known for a movie that we both love, and I'm not sure if you're aware.
No.
He is the hunt leader in Planet of the Apes. He is the first ape you see in that movie. The one on the horse. Yes.
Excellent.
I thought that was great. I was like, he was worth mentioning right there for me because I just love that movie. He's also in Diamonds Are Forever and Towering Inferno, which are also 60s and 70s movies.
Yep.
But he played Detective Captain Anders. And then you mentioned James Sicking plays Ralph Friedman. He's in that first shot with the guy sitting around the table. We just saw him just a few weeks back, didn't we? In Outland.
Outland.
Yeah, he played Sergeant Montone in Outland. And you mentioned at the time he was well known for Hill Street Blues.
Oh my gosh, he was great in Hill Street. He was the head of the SWAT team, and he's hilarious all the time. He's always got a pipe, and he's this very imperious, well, if we just shoot him in the head from snipers, we won't have to worry about it.
Oh, there you go.
Just one of them.
I think I also mentioned that he was in Pelican Brief, and he played Captain Styles in Star Trek III: The Search for Spock.
Yeah, he's the commander of the captain of the Dreadnought, the one that Scotty, the Excelsior, the one that Scotty
is jealous of,
sabotages,
trashes. Yeah. And then lastly, I have just for mention, because he's got a very familiar face, Matt Clark plays Gerhard. He is we saw him last as the Secretary of Defense in Buckaroo Banzai. If you look at him, he's a 70s TV's face. And there's actually a scene where he's with the guy that's always rolling Benson in the wheelchair, and their hair's like the same length, and they almost look like twins. I was like, that's weird. They look a lot alike.
Yeah, the doctor who's always with Ben, the protagonist, and then the doctor who's in charge of the computer, both are similar. They look
right.
alike. Yeah.
And I don't even have that other guy, even though he seemed to be menacing in the movie, but I don't have him in my cast notes, so he must not have been a very popular actor.
I think I've seen him. I saw him in a couple of other 70s things, but I don't think his career really
He
had
looks a little
anything.
bit like Dwayne from Basket Case.
Yeah, he does.
But that's all I have on cast. As far
I
as
have one
awards,
cast. I have
oh,
one
go
cast
ahead. No,
comment.
you go ahead.
The second murder that Benson, the second guy that Benson kills, is the priest at the church, and the priest is played by Ian Wolfe, who was Mr. Atos on Star Trek, the original series. In Return to Tomorrow, he was the librarian of the past.
That's third season, isn't it?
Yes, Return to
That's what I
Tomorrow. Yeah.
thought. Okay.
Hmm.
We'll get
Yeah,
there.
we'll get there. Shameless plug
Um,
for the other podcast you guys need to listen to.
yeah.
Anyway.
And whenever I do awards, there's always something. If anything, and it's science fiction, there will be like the Saturn Awards
Yeah.
that will mention it. Nobody mentions this movie at all.
Hmm.
And it is not on the 1001 movies you must see before you die list. So this movie got buried even by its own community. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
it for cast and awards. I don't know if you have trivia. I
Just
do
a
have
little bit of
trivia.
stuff that I did not understand at all. Stanley Kubrick liked this movie.
It's his favorite movie. That's what I read. I was going to say that.
And I'm like, I don't understand that. I don't understand why you why you would, but
It's
he
because they
did.
wanted it to be 2001 and it wasn't. So he was like, I like that movie.
Well, and Kubrick does have a very slow pace in most of his movies, so maybe
That's
he
true.
appreciated that, or maybe he thought that was what the intent was, or maybe I don't know. So that was I thought that was one of mine that was weird trivia wise.
I totally agree. I put it in my trivia too. I was like, I do not understand that at all. I also have got that it's the first movie to ever mention Scientology.
Yeah, but that's briefly. That's on the freaking radio that
Right,
she's listening to at the apartment or whatever.
right.
So you basically it doesn't play into the plot at all in any way. But yeah, I saw that. I also have that the cinematographer for this
Hmm.
is the same guy that did Andromeda Strain. So that's why it has a similar look and a similar light look. Although Hodges went with a lot of close-ups of eyes. And I, even in going back and scanning it that second time, I was thinking, is he trying to say, because the the intervals are the buffer scenes in between the big set pieces are that close up of a guard looking through a peephole. And you just hear him and the other guard talking about, yeah, they're going to do it to him tomorrow. Yep, he killed his whole family and blah blah blah. And that kind, you get that, and then in the operation, it's all these close-ups of eyes. It's Dr. Ross's eyes, and it's eyes, and of course, it's always Benson's eyes when they roll up white before he has a seizure and all that. There's lots of eyes in this movie. I don't know what he meant by that, but I just mentioned it.
And George Siegel is a good actor and he's
Yeah.
decent in this, but I don't get killer from him at all, which I'm not sure if that's intentional because they're saying it's just the episodes that make him kill or what. But it seems like he should be a little more than just George Siegel sitting in a wheelchair.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think he could have been very layered and done
Hmm.
in a totally different way, regretting the seizures because he doesn't remember them. It states earlier that he doesn't remember them at all. He just wakes up from a blackout. But you could play with that screenplay wise. You could have what have I done now and him starting to feel guilty about it and him almost going to the graveyard like saying, I want to die, kill me now, sacrifice myself, maybe. It would have been
Maybe.
better to use the book title and have him go to the hospital. But the other thing is, you get this deception with him at the beginning, and I think you're supposed to because he obviously arranges with the stripper girl to come
To
and,
bring him a wig.
yeah, and get him out of the hospital. So he has
Right.
this plan from the very beginning before he even gets to the hospital. But why? And what we never know what the purpose is. Oh, another scene I'll give you that we neither one of us mentioned, which
Okay.
is actually one of the only good scenes in it, is the scene where they're testing the terminals with Dr. Ross, and they're giving him different
Oh
jolts in
yeah,
different
like they
positions.
stimulate him, or they make him
Yeah.
hungry, or they make him smell stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Or all of a sudden he goes, I really have to go to the bathroom. And she goes, no, you
Right.
don't.
Yeah, no, that's
And he goes,
great.
and that could have been that was a good scene.
It
If the
was a
whole
good
movie
scene.
had been like that, that would have worked.
Yeah, I totally agree. But now you just reminded me that I have to talk about wigs. What the fuck is going on with the wigs in this movie? The skin wig on his head is transparent. You can see his hair underneath it.
Yeah, they didn't make up
It's
that
like,
well.
George, commit, shave your fucking head. That wig does not work. And I'm not talking about a wig. The wigs are bad enough. This is just a skin wig to make you look bald.
Right. Yeah.
And it does not work. Even when he is on the operating table, you can see his hair underneath the wig.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
drives me crazy. And then doesn't he have multiple wigs? He definitely has a blonde wig that's very it's very feminine, for lack of better words. He kind of looks
Yeah.
like a British pop star.
Well, yeah, the last part of the movie, he's in that blonde wig that she
Right.
gave him from the hospital. That
But doesn't
for
he have
some
a black
reason
wig too?
miraculously fits over this huge bandage he has on his head that covers his ears. And I go, but when he's wearing the wig, you can see his ears. I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do. You know me. I'm going to talk about hair, and that bothered the crap out of me.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Ugh.
What did you think of? Because this is a good transition to keys, I think.
All right.
I thought the sterility of the black stripper murder scene. What is her name? Her name is Black, right? That's why I keep thinking about
Black. Her last name, Angela Black, I believe.
Angela.
Yeah.
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 So her murder scene, her apartment is extremely white. The
Hmm.
floor, the walls, the bedspread. Both wearing white robes, and then once the murder happens, he goes to that slow motion section of it. And then it goes to that really artsy, late 60s artsy, showing the floor with all of the patterns in the floor and the blood slowly filling in all the patterns and everything. And I thought to myself, it's almost like a circuit board. That could have been a cool comment
Yeah.
on,
Very Crichton.
but
Yeah.
they didn't do anything with it, really.
Oh, that's a very bizarre scene too, because he has the seizure and then clocks her, man. Pop, and knocks her on the bed.
With a snow globe thing.
Yeah.
Busts her head. Yeah.
Right. And then it cuts, and you just see him doing this. And then it pulls
Yes.
back, and you see her damn body, and it's just bloody. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow. I guess they were trying to make it a little less gory. I don't know.
No, I
By
think
pulling back and not revealing right away the knife, the scissors, or whatever it is he's stabbing her with going in.
well, later on when they're at the crime scene and they're examining it, they talk about the fact that there's no passion to it or anything. It's almost like he's a sewing machine. He's going all the way across her body and the bed all in a straight line, just not thinking at all, which they show in slow motion because it's a waterbed. So water's mingling with the blood and everything
Right.
too, and splashing and all that. So again, cool idea that I think they could have taken further, but they didn't do anything with it. And it's a graphic scene. I don't think it's a bad murder scene. I wish they'd had a murder scene for the priest. I guess they were afraid of that. So he just goes out of frame and
Yeah, can't kill a priest on camera
Yeah,
in
right.
1974 unless
I guess.
but they did in 76
Yeah.
with the Omen.
And
They
had
failed him.
Yeah.
I don't really have any keys. I thought of Coma because it's also a medical thriller with Michael Crichton attached to it.
Well,
And-
I have a bunch just because I'm science fiction. So my first key would be Frankenstein because that's what this is. This is that we're
Okay, yeah.
experimenting with a human to make him different, make him better, which also leads to my second one, which is the $6 million man. Because later on in the 70s, that's what you got. You got that series, and it was a full integration hybrid. So he had a fake eye, a fake arm, a fake legs, all terminally connected to him. I said, oh, and by the way, full body MRIs in my trivia notes, full body MRIs did not come about until 1977. So 4 years later, 3 years later after this.
Yeah.
You had
Oh, well, it's like we said, Crichton was always a little bit ahead and taking ideas that were not far from the future and then, twisting them, which is what he did with Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I mentioned Charlie or Flowers for Algernon, which this reminds me of. I have, and you can correct me, it's either Brian De Palma, Dario Argento, one of those. That's what the Angela murder scene reminds me of. A very Italian murder setup.
Like a giallo.
Yeah, like a
film.
giallo.
Yeah.
Everything is so white, everything is so stark, and then the violence is so red and so quick.
Yeah, it's more giallo than it is Brian De Palma.
Okay, giallo works. I've got Black Mirror because, and this hasn't occurred to me in any other times we've covered, but I think Michael Crichton was the grandfather of Black Mirror. Because
Technology gone wrong? Yeah.
Yeah. Technology and then taking it 2 steps further and seeing where it could go wrong.
Yeah, I haven't read all of his books because I got burnt out on him like I did Kuntz. But he had one on nanotechnology. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he had the one with digital too, where actresses went in and they digitally scanned their whole body, and then suddenly that actress was dead, but she was still appearing in things. Looker, I think was the name of it.
It was, but I've never seen it. Yeah, it is called Looker.
Yeah. So, yeah, Crichton has these, but all of that is a precursor to what Black Mirror does every year. I have in notes, Michael Hodges himself has said that he was inspired by the painter Edward Hopper for the influence on the visual style of this film. And I looked at Edward Hopper's paintings.
I did have that. I forgot to say it, but I did have that.
I looked at his paintings and I didn't get that visual style at all. Everything is very removed. It's singular people, usually in some form of weird portrait.
Well, didn't Edward Hopper do that picture where the people are sitting in that lonely diner at night? Yeah. And you see it from outside the window? This looks nothing like that at all.
Windows. No, this style is not that at all. Unless he's saying that he wanted isolation. But if you're doing isolation, then why are you showing intense eye close-ups and stuff like that? I didn't get what he meant by that. So that was
I don't get it either.
I have supposedly, and this is in research, I'm not sure if this is factual or not, but someone said that Kubrick was inspired by the bathroom attack, and that's why he mimicked it in The Shining. And I think that's probably not true. The whole here's Johnny breaking through the door to get to the girl in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, he does break a hole through a bathroom door. I forgot about that. But he never gets in. He's like inches from the doorknob and never gets in.
Yeah, because because she
so I mean that is very Shining. I'll give you that. Even if it wasn't influenced, it definitely reminded me of The Shining with him reaching in that hole in the door for sure.
Yeah. It's just that she didn't have a butcher knife to cut his hand, and he didn't have an axe to do the here's Johnny.
No, she was too busy cowering in the shower.
In the shower, terrified.
Yeah, that was stupid. I was like, bitch, get out of there.
Last but not least for me, I have, right when we think it's going to get exciting, because they've had this test and tested him and everything
I was waiting for this movie to get exciting the entire time.
We've done the operation. We've done the test. We're halfway through the movie. Now it's going to get interesting. We go to this insanely stupid, very boring celebration scene with all the doctors. When the young doctor is smoking a cigar with his obvious wife, nobody has hardly any dialogue with each other. It's just a bunch of people roaming around. But the house is the Ennis house, which was used in so many movies. It's the Frank Lloyd Wright house that's in Blade Runner, Rocketeer, Rush Hour, Mulholland Drive.
What's it called? The Ennis house?
Ennis house, Ennis. And
is that the one with all the stairwells inside it?
Stairwells inside and all the like Mayan hieroglyphic columns and walls. It looks really futuristic, which is why people have used it forever.
A lot of people use it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was actually, it said, in my research, it said it was used in House on Haunted Hill, but I don't remember that because we did that a few years ago, didn't we? Did we?
No, you're thinking of The Haunting. The House on Haunted Hill's the one with Vincent Price. That's on our list. It's on our list because there's a modern remake that we could pair it up with if we wanted to do a double feature. But yeah, you just reminded me of senseless scenes. What in the fuck is going on with the funeral procession at the end? It's like there's this huge long funeral procession leading up to, and it's done in like cutaways. Yeah. He's in the graveyard. He's in the grave, but there's this parade. It's like New Orleans without a band coming down the street.
Going forever with the priest leading it and the chancer and everything, the cantor and all that. I was just going, okay.
All that happens is they get there and you see somebody look in the grave and that's it.
And then we suddenly cut. It's obviously half an hour later, they're all on the side and the police have just arrived and everything. I'm going, what? Yeah. I think this movie is rife for a remake. I think it would be interesting to see it now with technology the way it is.
I want to know what Joe Powell saw in this movie. Or maybe he did it because he doesn't like it. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm sure he will comment.
I'm sure he will comment, and everybody else should comment too. But yeah, Joe, we want to know why you forced us. No, we want to know what you like or dislike about this movie. Yeah.
Yep, we do. And I guess that's going to sum it up for us today. If you don't have anything else.
Nothing.
I'm all out of keys. I didn't have any to begin with, really. And we'd like to thank you folks for joining us today. We, on our little venture back to 1974, it's The Terminal Man. If you have comments or criticisms, or if you like this movie, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. And if you like what you see and hear here, we also have some other short shows on YouTube as well as podcasts out there on the airwaves. And if you really want to help support us, you can hop on over to Patreon, where we have additional shows for subscription level content, as well as a lot of free stuff, a lot of Marvel, a lot of stuff that is kind of a history of David and I and our history of how we know each other. We'd love to see you over there. And until next time, David, I guess I'll be seeing you. Where are we next time? Oh, we're doing a Redux next time.
Ooh, a Redux. Okay.
So we're still in sci-fi world next week.
Yay. Okay. So I'll see you then.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
Start the car. Johnny has the keys.